Yeah, hello, good morning everyone. Welcome to a new year. I think this is my first video of the year. So someone asked a question, how can you start a grass cutter farm? Alright. The first thing, like in every other businesses, the first thing you need to have to start a grass cutter farm is knowledge. You need to know how to produce grass cutters, and you need to know how to market grass cutters. So that's the first thing you need to know. You need knowledge about grass cutter production and grass cutter marketing. Most of the marketing uh, stuff in grass cutter is done online. You most likely will never see a lot of your buyers, a lot of the people who will buy your grass cutters. You probably never see them. So the bulk of the marketing stuffs on grass cutter farming is done online. So you need to have a strategy. How are you going to sell your grass cutters online? You can create a Facebook page, create a WhatsApp group, do anything. Just keep posting content about your grass cutter farming online. Create knowledge, bridge the knowledge gap. There's a really wide knowledge gap in grass cutter farming. So that's that about the marketing. But most times when people ask how do I start my grass cutter farm, they're not asking a question about marketing, they're asking a question about production. So one of the first things to consider when starting a grass cutter farm is the location of your farm. Make sure your grass cutter farm is not close to any major river. That's very, very important. The reason is that all grass cutters are allergic to cold, and if your farm site is close to a river, that means every night there will be cold, and that's at the risk of your grass cutter's health. They develop pneumonia as a result of extreme cold. So first thing, make sure your grass cutter farm is not sited close to a major river, even close to a stream. Just make sure your grass cutter farm is not close to any stream or river. Then another thing is you have to make sure your grass cutter farm is always well swept. Your grass cutters should be in a very hygienic environment. The place should be swept every day. You can see our grass cutter, they are eating, their place is well swept. They are living in a very, very conducive environment. Make sure you create a good environment for your grass cutters to live in. Then the third, your grass cutters must be well fed. They have to be well fed. Most of their problem comes from the farmer not feeding them well. Now when I talk about feeding well, here in Hoyekunle farms we feed our grass cutters twice a day. The first feeding is done in the morning and we feed them on grasses. This is their breakfast and they are eating majorly on grasses. Then in the evening we feed them on supplements and grasses. This the feed trough where they eat their supplements, and we feed them more on grasses. Now in the evening you have to feed them enough to carry them over the night till the next morning. So what you feed in the evening will always be more than what you feed in the morning. So they need to be fed on highly nutritious diet. Make sure you feed them on a diet that will meet their nutritional requirements. Here we feed on supplements. There are farmers who don't feed on supplements. There are farmers who feed solely on grasses. I don't encourage that because most grasses do not contain the nutritional requirement for grass cutters. So you have to feed your grass cutters on supplements. We have a way we formulate our home feed, so that's not for public consumption. So feed them well. Then your housing system. How do you want to house your grass cutters? There are three ways you can house your grass cutters. There's this intensive system and there is a semi-intensive system. In the intensive system, You have your grass cutters living in an enclosed environment and inside a cage. Now, in semi-intensive system, your grass cutter is also living in an enclosed environment. They don't have access to the wild, but it's just like a fenced area, no structures, no cages. They are living in a free-range system, but in an enclosed environment. That's the semi-intensive system. So most farmers practice the intensive system. Now, in the intensive system of grasscutter farming, there are three type of cages that you can use. We have the mortar cage like this, the hutches. We call this the hutches. Then we have the iron cage and the wooden cages. Now, the difference between the three is that the mortar cage is more conducive, is the best for commercial production of grass cutters, and you don't get to feed, you don't get to labor more while feeding your grass cutters, although you labor more while cleaning. You have to clean, and you have to clean each cages. Their droppings is not coming down from the base, so you have to go inside the cage and clean. In the battery cage system, the wooden cage and the iron cage, there is a wire mesh that you use as the base. This is a wire mesh in cage system, in iron cage and wooden cage. So their droppings, their urine, their droppings, it drops, it doesn't stay with them, so you don't spend more time cleaning the house. That's the only advantage that the iron and the wooden cage has over this mortar cage. And the wooden and mortar cage, they are not as expensive. It's not expensive to construct than this. Then you can easily move your wooden and iron cage. This is a permanent housing system. You don't get to move this at all. So if you don't have a land, if you don't have a space for yourself, you may not be able to do this. But I always advise people, have this at the back of your mind. Know that this is what you are going to construct eventually. Eventually, if you want to go the long way, if you want to do grass cutter farming in the long run, have a mindset that you're going to have to construct this at some point. So these is especially during the dry season. During the dry seasons, grass cutter farmers, they go through extra miles sourcing for leaves, for grasses for their grass cutters. In this system, we don't get to feed them more on grasses, because what they are eating is not escaping through the iron mesh. You know, this is not iron mesh, this is a floor, this is a concrete floor. So what they are eating, their grass cutters are very they are big wasters of food. They waste their food a lot. You can see them once they pick once they take a bite, they will not finish that the grass that they have eaten. They may not finish it before they drop it. Once they drop it, if this were to be a wire mesh, the feed drops through the holes in the wire mesh, and that's a waste. But here, even if they drop it, it drops on the floor and they can come back to pick it and eat. So they don't get to waste much of their feed in this kind of system. So this is the major reason why I advise this, so that your grass cutters don't get to waste much of their feed. If you let's say you went to cut a bag of feed, like this morning we just fetch a bag of the feed this morning, and this will last them even up till tomorrow morning. But if all the grass cutters we have here, if they were housed in uh, uh, in a wooden cage or iron cage, this is not enough for them for just this morning. This wouldn't be enough for them even for a day, because most of the grasses will be wasted. But here, the waste is minimal. The waste is minimal. So that's the advantage this has over over the wooden and the iron caging system. You don't get to waste your grasses. You don't get to waste your pelletized feed. That means you don't get to waste much of your resources. So that's the advantage. In the long run, you realize that the mortar cage is the best system you can use to in your grass cutter farming venture, especially if you're in heat for the long run. All right, so that's that. My name is Oyekunle Tayo of Oyekunle Farms. We sell grass cutters. We help you to construct your cages, and we can build your grass cutters to anywhere in Nigeria. Contact us on 08060170595. You can also chat us on WhatsApp on the same number. Thank you.